STP solutions for desktop, for Reckon Accounts desktop. My name is John Gajewski and I'm the customer success manager here at Reckon, and I'll guide you through the various options now available to you for reporting your STP. Just a couple of housekeeping things. Firstly, the contents of this webinar is of a general nature and is for guidance only. Reckon does not provide professional or taxation advice, and viewers should consult with a professional advisor for advice on their specific circumstances. You can check the audio is working properly by clicking on the sound check button in the panel on your right-hand side. Please note that for this webinar, your microphone has been muted. We will be taking questions throughout the webinar, and we'll do that on our specialist questions site, www.slido.com. Just type in the code RKN and click join. We'll look at the questions at the end of this presentation. When you're typing in a question, if you see the questions being similar question has been previously asked, don't ask it again, just click on the like, and that will register your vote for that question, and we'll handle the questions in order of their popularity. To minimize the panel you see on your screen, you can just click the orange arrow, and that will minimize it. To open it up again at any time, just click on the orange arrow again. This webinar is being recorded and will be available on the Reckon YouTube channel, youtube.reckon.com/Reckon Limited, and it'll also be available on our Trading Academy. So today what we'll be looking at is signing up for GovConnect STP and setting up your multi-factor authentication. The key information to prepare your company file, how to share your Reckon GovConnect with other users, where to find your software ID and how to register it for the ATO, and common error messages and how to fix it. And then we'll finish off by looking at some STP resources available for you on the Reckon website. What do you need to be? What do you need to do to be STP ready? Firstly, sign up for the Reckon GovConnect STP. Make sure that your Reckon Accounts desktop is upgraded to at least 2018. Not already done so. Register your GovConnect software ID to the ATO, and learn how to export your file, your STP information from the Reckon software and upload it to GovConnect STP. So as of 1st of July this year, the STP reporting is for all businesses. Larger businesses began reporting in July 2018, and 1st July 2019, everyone is required to report. Some categories of businesses have been granted deferrals. Please talk to your accountant and the ATO to find out whether you're one of those businesses that can qualify for a deferral of reporting. Reckon has created GovConnect STP as its solution for reporting payroll events through to the ATO, and it links back into all Reckon products that process payroll, not just Reckon Accounts Desktop, but also Reckon Accounts Hosted, Premier, Payroll Premier, and Reckon One. Reckon GovConnect STP is free for everyone to use. All you need is a Reckon portal account, which you can get at portal.reckon.com, and that's where you access GovConnect STP. It's a standalone product. It allows you to use multiple products into one environment to report to the ATO. The Reckon STP process follows 4 basic steps. Firstly is the creation of the GovConnect STP account, and then you need to enable and configure STP in your company file. Those 2 steps are sort of like an overhead step. You do it once and you don't really have to worry about it again. You then go ahead and do your pay run as normal. As you've always done it, you will continue doing it in this exactly the same way. But now, to report STP, you just need to go through a couple of extra steps to create the export file and to review and submit it in GovConnect to the ATO. So, creating the GovConnect STP account and multi-factor authentication. You do need a Reckon portal ID, which you can create on portal.reckon.com. Just go in and click on register for free and create your ID, which you can use your own email address with your own selected password, or you can choose to use your Google or Office accounts as well. When that's created, just come back in and sign in with those credentials. A first-time user will you'll see an invitation there to try Reckon One for free for 30 days. If you're a Reckon One user already, you'll see tiles for your books. But what we need to do is to get the Reckon GovConnect, we just need to go to Add Products and select Reckon GovConnect. Now, the first step here is to enable multi-factor authentication. This is something that's been required by the ATO, and it's an authentication of the user. It is at the user level. So no user should be sharing their codes. If you're in a business where a number of people may need to report MFA, STP, then every user needs to be individually identified, have his own MFA codes. Once you set up MFA on one device, you can't share it against different types of devices. So for instance, if you set it up on your smartphone, you can't try to set it up for the same account on your desktop, for instance. Finally, if you want to delete your authenticator app for any reason, please don't do that until the MFA is revoked, and we'll show you steps for that later on. So there are a couple of options by which you can carry out MFA. You can do it by normal SMS text, like you probably get from your banks and other stores. You could use a dedicated Google Authenticator for the smartphone, or you could get a Google Authenticator extension for your browser if you're still working, if you're still wanting to work off your desktop. So setting up the MFA via SMS, that is the first method offered to you by GovConnect. If you don't want to use SMS and would prefer to go through to using the Google Authenticator for a smartphone, just click on the link at the bottom of the page and continue on to there. Otherwise, just enter in your mobile phone number. The send code will become active, so click on it, and that will provide you with a 6-digit code, which you can enter into the final field. And you're authenticated. With the Google Authenticator, firstly, you'll need to download the Google Authenticator onto your smartphone. You can do that on the Apple App Store or on Google Play for Android. Open the Authenticator and scan the QR code there, and that will generate a number which you can then just place into the field, and your authentication is done. If you want to do an authentication by your desktop browser, you can get the Google Authenticator for your Google browser from the Google Store. So just download that, and you'll find that it appears as a little icon in the top right of your browser. It's got that, it looks a bit like that QR code. So when you go into GovConnect, you'll be asked to authenticate. So what you'll need to do is go back to your browser, click on the authenticator icon. You'll need to select the QR code on GovConnect portal, and you'll see a number generated on your screen, and you'll just enter that into the Enter MFA code field. So with MFA enabled, we can now progress on to the next stage. Firstly, First-time users will be asked to create a recovery pin. This will be an important part of the security process in the event that you need to uninstall your authenticator and reinstall. So take note of the number. You can either generate one, let the system generate one for you, or you can opt to create your own. But do record that number somewhere for easy access so that when you need it, you can get at it quickly. So just to remind you that every time you enter GovConnect, you will be asked to authenticate. So be prepared to have your phone handy and enter in the 6-digit code. Now, the first time you'll be presented with a screen there to get started. So just click the Get Started button, and this starts creating your entity. What you're required to do is enter in your ABN number. Now, as you enter that number in, the system will now access your legal company name from the ABN register, and that's to ensure that the name here in GovConnect corresponds directly with what the ATO have on file, so there's no problem about identifying the STP report. The email address will also populate from the email address for your portal account. The only one other thing to consider is if you have got a branch assigned for your ABN, enter that there in the second field. You'll then be asked to nominate which product you're using. Now, GovConnect is designed to access all our products, and you can use through the One GovConnect account, have access to all products if your business is structured that way. So go through and select your account, your product in Reckon Accounts Desktop, and any others that may be relevant to you. And you'll then come into the GovConnect dashboard, and you'll see a tile for each each program you selected. So in most cases, you'll just have the Reckon Accounts desktop icon there. What you'll need to do is continue on and click on Company and Advisor Information. Here you will see the software ID number generated for you. This number, what appears underneath here, you will need to report to the ATO. You can call them on 1300-852-232, or you can visit the Access Manager and record it onto your OSKey. Oh, yep. You'll also see on the same page an advisor button where if you're nominating an advisor to submit on your behalf, you can put in their details in there as well. Now, when you are using Advisor, what you'll need to do is share your STP entity will appear as a tile on your GovConnect homepage, and you can share this to your bookkeeper, your accountant, your payroll processor, whoever needs access to your entity to submit your STP report. And you can do that just simply by clicking on the 3 buttons there and selecting Share with User. What you'll do is enter in their username or their email ID. If they don't have one, they need to go to portal.reckon.com and create one. It's for free, it only takes a couple of seconds. When you enter in their user ID, email address ID in there, you will see them added to the list of users on this account. On your portal, GovConnect portal homepage, you will only see tiles for the entities you create. People who share files to you, their tiles will appear in the section called Shared with Me. So if you click on that, you'll see all the entities shared to you. To remove a sharing from a STP entity, all you need to do is click the 3 dots again, and in the list of users there, just click on the trash can next to the user you want removed. So that creates the, we've now created our GovConnect STP account. We can now go in and have a look inside our company file and enable the STP feature and make sure proper configurations are set. So on the Reckon Accounts desktop, what you want to do is go into Edit Preferences and Payroll and Employees, and you'll see on the right here a line, Enable Single Touch Payroll. So tick that box to enable STP features. Next, go into on the top menu line, company, and then select company information and look in the legal information field here. And for your legal name, enter in the name as it appears on your ABN register. So the name inside your company file corresponds exactly with what's in your STP entity, which corresponds exactly with the ATO file. Add in your legal address as well, your tax file number, and if you've got a branch number, enter that in here. And complete any for payroll reporting, your information there. So anything that's used actually in STP GovConnect, this sort of information is set up here in your company file, and it's just dragged into your GovConnect STP. You'll need to go on and just check some employee details. So if you go into the employee center and right-click an employee and select Edit Employees, go to their, in the Change tabs, go to their personal information, just make sure you've got their correct details there. Click on Address and Contact, and make sure, in addition to having the correct address there, have a look at the email field. Now, adding an email is optional. You don't actually have to have anything in there. But if you're adding an email address, make sure it's properly configured. If you've previously used the email field to contain some other information, that's not going to work with STP. It has to be a properly formatted email address. Otherwise, your STP report will fail. Go to employment info. The ATO has mandated that every employee should have an employee number. So if you're not using numbers at the moment, do start creating a sequence and just keeping on with the sequence. In July 2018, the new financial year, a new way of representing allowances was introduced. The ATO has mandated these 5 categories and 1 other. So do make sure your allowances are now structured according to these sub-accounts. If it's not one of these, they go under other. If you're upgrading your file from an earlier version, you will find that all your allowances will be listed as other allowances other. So you'll need to restructure those allowances if any of these categories apply. Okay, that's all you need to do inside the book. So the book's now configured, so we can now look at completing our pay run and creating our export STP file. Do your pay run as normal, absolutely no change to it. You will still have to report your super guarantee payments as you do now through your through SuperStream and onto your Super Gateway. What you'll now do when all your processing's done is come into employees, and you will now see an option for single process, single touch payroll. If you don't see that option here, it's because you haven't activated the features in the payroll preferences in edit preferences, payroll and employees. So go back there and just tick that preference to activate the features. What you'll see is a single touch payroll lodgement screen. You'll have your latest pay run showing in the box there. You can pick a past pay run, and you will see the employees in that particular pay run. So just go tick all the employees that will be reported on. and click on Lodge. Notice at the top of the table there were some other options there: full file replacement, update event, final pay event. They're different types of way of reporting pays. Now, your normal pay is called a pay event, and your program's already configured for that event. If it's one of the others, then you'll need to tick the appropriate box. Now, a full file replacement is generally done for major error corrections, like you did some major faults for most people in your previous pay run. What full file replacement will do is you can create a new STP report, mark it as full file replacement, and it will totally replace your previous upload at the ATO. An update event is used in a similar way for recording new information, changing information, but rather than being broad-based like with most people, it's usually just to one employee. So what the update event will do at the ATO is merely replace your earlier reporting for that employee with this latest information that you've now submitted. Finally, there's this thing called a final pay event, which you need to do when you say provide the last payment for the financial year for an employee. That occurs under two cases: once when you terminate an employee, and secondly, after your last pay of the financial year. Now, considering terminated employees, the way the program works is that when you make that payment and enter in a release date, that entry in the STP file will already be marked as a final event for that employee. That record will be included with the normal pay event of all your other employees for that pay run. Bottom line is that when you're terminating an employee, you don't need to do anything special to have them marked as a final pay event. They're just automatically marked and included with your normal pay events. So you won't actually be able to see that an employee there is different to the others until you get into GovConnect STP and choose to look at the details of that pay run. And then you will see that that employee's record has been marked as a final pay event. That is quite different to the end of financial year need to report your pays. We will be introducing a new feature. The final pay event category there will be replaced by a new one called finalize year, and that will allow you to see every employee you paid in that financial year, to select them and report them to the ATO. That's quite a useful feature, because you'll be able to report all your current employees, any casual employees, and employees that have already been terminated, and particularly for this year at any rates, that terminated employees before you started on the STP reporting. So this final pay year event will allow you to report on all your employees, and there won't be any need for you to report any of your employees on payment summaries. So look for that feature. That feature will come in with the tax table update towards the end of June. Next, when you create the export file, when you process that STP information, it goes into a separate file for you to upload to GovConnect. Now, the prompt is to save it to the normal export file location for your company file within the Reckon account system, which is under program files under that very lengthy tree. You don't have to accept that. You can save it to any suitable location. You can have a folder directly in C drive, as I do here, or save it to your desktop, somewhere that's very convenient for you to access to upload to GovConnect. When you complete that, the program will warn you that it's going to launch single touch payroll. It's going to launch Reckon GovConnect in a separate browser, so just click OK and you'll be launched into GovConnect. So that's the next stage we'll look at. What do we need to do inside GovConnect to complete our process? Remember, every time you enter GovConnect, you will be asked to authenticate. So make sure your phone is close by and ready to put those numbers in. Then you'll see your GovConnect desktop. You will not see your latest pay in the table here. You'll need to click on upload and grab that file from where you saved it. So what will happen is you'll be asked what sort of report is it? Is it a new pay run and or a full file replacement? Or is it an update? The first one is a default setting. That is what you'll do for most of your uploads. So just select the appropriate one and then go in from your local PC, find your STP file and upload it. And you'll see it on the top row and you'll see that its status is draft. One of the features of GovConnect STP is it allows you to see the details before you send it to the ATO. So if you're happy with what you see, just click on submit and send that off to the ATO and you're done with STP reporting for this pay run. If you want to see the details, just click on detail and you will now see inside the pay run and you'll see a line for each employee. And it's here that if an employee was marked as a final pay event, you'll find that under final event, it'll have a yes rather than the usual no. Please note that all the figures you see here are year-to-date figures. They're not the figures pertaining to that particular pay run. Now you can, having viewed this here, you can go ahead and submit to the ATO, or you can see further details for the particular employee by clicking on details. And here you can now see exactly what you're sending to the ATO. So yes, you do have the choice of immediately submitting to the ATO or checking the information first before you see it. When you are submitting, you will be asked for your digital sign-on and declaration. So sign that and you'll return to the GovConnect dashboard and you'll see a status with the ATO. Now, initially that will be pending. The ATO accepts your file in a two-stage process. Firstly, accepts the upload, saying, yes, I've got, you've uploaded a file, I've now got that. And that's what this pending status confirms. The ATO will then check the file for any errors and make sure that everything corresponds with what it's supposed to. And when it accepts that, then it'll send back the submitted message. Usually takes an hour or so. All depends on how busy the system is at the time, and certainly certain times of the month it'll be busier than others. If at any stage that it's still showing pending, you can always force a refresh to get the latest update simply by clicking on details. You will see the details of the employee there on the screen, but what that will do is refresh the status from the ATO server, so you'll see exactly where you are. You come back to the board, there it is with the status of submitted. If it was an update event, of course, in the update column, it'll have a yes rather than a no. So that's it. That completes the entire process. Successfully, you've gone through all the steps of setting up, running your pay, creating the export file, and successfully getting it off to the ATO. So if you follow the steps in this video, you should more or less be trouble-free. However, from time to time, some things do go wrong, and I just want to outline a few things that have come up commonly. Firstly, before we go on, if you do need to revoke your MFA, the place to do it is on the GovConnect portal. If you just go into your profile, which is this little human icon up here in the top right, click on that, and down at the bottom you've got the multi-factor authentication area where you can click on revoke to revoke your MFA. It will ask you for your PIN number, so enter that in and select submit. Now, a couple of the errors you might get is you go to update your first, import your first file, and you get the message, fail to save pay run event data. What does that mean? It probably relates to some invalid characters inside your export file. The JSON is the extension for that export file. Double quotation marks is the biggest culprit there. So you'll need to go back into your program, find where those double quotations are being used, and get rid of them. It's very it's a good practice not to use any quotation marks at all, so the information is clean and removes that obstacle. Another popular one that's seen, this instance.payroll, event.payroll.detail, blah, blah, blah. What that is indicating is that the nature of the file is different to what you selected as that file being when you uploaded the file to GovConnect. So what you'll need to do is go back into your program, generate the file again, upload it to GovConnect, making sure you're selecting the right category, either an update event or a full file or a normal pay run. When you're creating your STP entity, you might come across the message, unable to create subscription with STP. What that's referring to, there could be two things. One, it could be that the ABN number has already been used on the Reckon system. Our system will not allow you to create two STP entities for the one ABN number. So it may have already been created by another person, or that may have been created in error. Maybe you were just testing it out and didn't realize you had gone that far to actually creating it. Yeah, you may have to revoke that so that you can create the new one as you want it. The second reason why it may throw up is that you haven't got complete name details in the Reckon portal itself. So again, if you just go into GovConnect homepage, click on the profile icon up here, and then just click on edit here to be able to change your details and ensure they correspond with what they should be. One thing we've seen is people setting up the MFA, responding to their MFA, they put in the code they get, and it says, please type correct code in. So you delete it out, put them in again, very careful that you've got the right one, and it's still getting that message. The likely reason for this is that the timing on the timing system associated with the Authenticator app is out of sync with the timing system of the Google server. And the way to get them back into sync is to depends on what type of device you have. For Android, what you'll need to do is in the Authenticator app, go to menu and settings, and there you'll have an option for time correct for codes. Just select that, and that will resync the timing systems of the Authenticator with the Google server. For an Apple device, you do this actually on the device settings itself, go to General and just reselect the time, date and time settings, and that process will sync the app with the app's timing system with the Google server timing system. Invalid company information provided. And it tells you it's self-explanatory. The information's not quite right, so you'll need to go back to your company information screen inside Reckon accounts and make sure that the legal name is correct, exactly as it is on the ABN register. Correct correct legal address, ABN number, and payroll contact details. After you as you update your STP, sorry, as you send through your STP report, you might get this message: the requested ID is valid, but the pull request is yet to be queued. This is an error message that is likely to come up when there's congestion on the ATO servers. Processing times are longer than usual. The system thinking something's gone wrong and is just flagging a warning. Don't be too concerned with this one. Come back in a couple of hours and check back for your status, and it should be okay. If you see the address is incorrect in the GovConnect portal, how do you change it? Well, that information is actually pulled in from your company file. So go back into your company file, company information area, and make sure the legal information area has got the correct details. And that will flow through to your next STP update. There are other issues we've come across, not so common, but we have written notes on many of them on our knowledge base. So if you go to kb.reckon.com.au and search for STP, you'll get a listing of various notes on various issues. So just follow the guides there if they pertain to you. A lot of resources for you on the Reckon website. The best one is help.reckon.com. There you'll find under the customer portal a good guide to setting up the STP portal, the STP entity. And if you go under your Reckon accounts, there'll be more information there under payroll of necessary items for STP to work for Reckon accounts. We do have a separate site for single touch payroll information. There you get FAQs, upcoming events, recorded webinars. So it's fun and useful to check out. Finally, if you do need more help, why not think about contacting a Reckon accredited partner. If you go to partnersearch.reckon.com, you'll be able to search for a partner in your locality by your postcode. And there are resources there on the Reckon YouTube channel and also on the Reckon Academy. Now, we've been looking at some, that brings us to the end of the presentation. So we'll now just have a look at some of the questions that have been asked over the course of this presentation. Where are we? We'll just find it. Oh, there we go. Yep. All right. Just get our desktop. There we go. Okay. Let's see. Let's see if we can address some of the questions asked here. To help me through with these questions, I've got Rav Singh, our community manager, to help us through in getting the right information through to you. Okay, our first question, does a shared STP user require MFA as well? Yes, every user on the Reckon GovConnect does need to be authenticated, every single user. Yeah, that's just part of the process. Next question, STP submission must be made on the same day as the payments are made. Is this correct? Basically, yes, the ATO has said that the STP report must be made on the same day that the pays are processed or at least paid to the employee. And as you notice from this presentation, we've now geared the product. It's just another couple of steps after you've done your payroll. So you do your pay run, that's all done. You just continue on, prepare the STP export file, go to GovConnect, upload, send off to the ATO. Just an extra minute or two to get the information off to the ATO. So as you process your pay, you also report to the ATO. If you cannot have two users under the one ABN, how do we set up two staff members who may both do payroll? Rav, could you help us out there?
Yeah, no problem. So if you have more than one person in the business who performs payroll duties, what the second person needs to do is set up their own Reckon portal account. So they head over to portal.reckon.com, create their own account, and then what you can do is you can share your existing STP entity from your account to them. That user will then, they'll have their own MFA for their own account, and once they've all set up and it's been shared, they can then upload STP pay events from their account as well. And that way you can have multiple users using the existing STP entity to upload STP pay events across people in the business. Okay, the next question is, will we get a recording of this webinar and slides? So yeah, the webinar will be available on our YouTube channel. So if you just head over to youtube.com and search Reckon HQ, you'll find our YouTube channel, and we've got a whole range of webinars, including prior STP webinars along with this one. This one will be available pretty soon, probably by tomorrow at the latest, I imagine. Okay, the next question is, if I choose to make my first STP submission next week, is this up to date and thus eliminating the need to provide a PAYG summary to employees at the end of June? Yes, that is exactly correct. So STP is reported on a year-to-date basis, and it's at the end, its purpose is to basically replace payment summaries at the end of the year. So that will be no longer required for the employees that are reported under single touch payroll. Sorry, and also, so just to cap off that last point, we've got a new feature that will be coming pretty soon in the tax table update towards the end of June, and that will contain a finalize year function. So what that function will do is it will present a list of all of your employees that have been paid throughout the year, and it will give you like a tick box to just finalize that payment, finalize that final pay event. And then that will notify the ATO that those employees have been paid by you throughout the year, and that will be your final submission for the end of financial year. Okay, the next question, when I try to add a staff member in MyGov, it won't let me set one up. One email address in our business, but multiple people using. How do I get around this? I assume you are meaning GovConnect rather than MyGov, I hope. So one email address in our business, but multiple people using. How do I get around this? So those other users, that they will need their own email address to set up a Reckon portal account. So you can set up a free one through a lot of free options like gmail.com or hotmail.com, those sort of free email providers. Every user that intends to use STP, every user that intends to submit STP pay events, they do need a portal account, and with a portal account, you need your own email address to register. Okay, LAT won't allow, it won't allow the same username, email address to be used twice. As per my previous question, how do we have two staff in GovConnect? So we've covered this a couple of times. How do we have two staff in GovConnect? So yeah, each staff member needs to have their own portal account, and which requires their own email address, and the existing STP entity can be shared across to other users. Okay, I've been using STP for about 6 weeks. At GovConnect STP, all my uploads to the ATO are still saying pending, even though after upload it says successful. So why this occurs is basically there's 2 steps to the process. Once you submit your pay event, it goes to the ATO, and the first status is pending, and that basically means that the ATO has accepted your pay event for processing. What you need to do from that point, if it's been a while and you've mentioned 6 weeks, if you click on the detail link So on your pay event, you'll see a list of your pay events, and next to each one, there'll be a link called detail. If you click that, you'll see a status message from the ATO advising you of the result of their processing. So that's at the very top of the page inside the pay event. Once you go out of the pay event and back to that list where you see all of your pay events, that status will update to show whatever result you receive from the ATO. So if it's success, it will show success. If it's an error, it will show an error. Now, if you do see an error, the specific error message from the ATO will be displayed at the top of the page as well, within the pay event. Okay, what happens if you've lost your recovery PIN? Can you revoke your MFA if you've lost the PIN? So it's really important to retain your recovery PIN once you set it up. If you don't have it, if you've forgotten it, you do need to get in touch with our support team, and they'll verify that you are an authority or you're the account holder, and they will make arrangements with our development team to revoke your MFA. Now, it's not an instant process. It does take a little bit of time. And particularly within the financial year coming up, it is going to be a little bit busier than normal. So please ensure that you do have your recovery PIN. If you're going through the process of setting this up now, retain it somewhere safe. If you've already set it up and you don't have your recovery PIN, yeah, as I said, please get in touch with us, with our support team, and we'll make arrangements to get that sorted for you. Okay, can you use payroll as the employee identifier rather than a number? So the employee number needs to be an alphanumeric unique number. So you can't use one particular term like payroll for everyone. It needs to be, well, we recommend an employee number, but if you'd like to have something alphanumeric, it can be used, but it needs to be unique across your employee base. Okay, what happens if the details I have in Reckon don't match what the ATO have on each employee? Will I be notified of the exact problem? So basically, if we've got a guide on our help site, so help.reckon.com, and this takes you through each and every compulsory field that you need to fill out. You need to make sure it's filled out in your Reckon account software. So provided that you've filled that out correctly and there are no errors or no issues like in your data. So for example, if you have a phone number for the employee, make sure that there's no brackets or anything like that. Just make sure it's one continuous number. Provided that you've got all of those details filled out, there shouldn't be an issue. As for what happens if the details I reckon don't match the ATO, I assume you're meaning the details in their MyGov account. So the only real sort of detail that we have across the two is your email address, the email address for the employee, and no, there's the email address for the employee that they have in their MyGov account. It doesn't need to match what's in your employee fields in your software. So I don't think they'll be getting in touch with you about the employee fields. They will get in touch with you, obviously, about your they will notify you about errors within the pay event file, and that's obviously within GovConnect as well.
Okay, we all need to wrap it up, so we'll just do one final question. If an account is set up on one desktop, can you log on another desktop? Well, that depends on whether your program is a multi-user program. That does allow you to work across multiple desktops, but there is only one file. And when you're submitting STP, any user inside the program can actually create the STP export file, but only a user on the GovConnect STP can actually import it, and they will need to have the right be permission to access that particular STP entity. So yes, if you're using multiple PCs, you want to have Reckon Accounts Premier 2 or Reckon Accounts Reckon Accounts Premier 5 that are multi-use and that allow networking, and then any person can create the file. But to submit the STP report to the ATO, you do need to be a user on the on GovConnect STP. We'll have to finish it there. We're out of time. I'm sorry, we still got a few questions there. When you review the webinar, your questions, you don't find an answer to your question, please drop us a line on training@reckon.com and we'll get an answer back to you. Thank you very much for attending this session, and good luck in getting started with STP. Bye for now.